game night here at the Shelby County Reporter. We're in week 2 of the playoffs. Last week, in the first week of the playoffs, we saw 3 of our teams survive and advance for one more round. We've got Spain Park still alive in the 6A playoffs, Briarwood Christian still alive in the Class 5A playoffs, and Coosa Valley Academy still playing for an AISA Class 1A title. First, we're going to take a look at our game of the week this week, which will be Spain Park traveling to Hoover for a rematch of a regular season meeting between the two teams. Davis, in week 2, Hoover kept Spain Park from scoring a point in this game. Yeah. Has Spain Park made enough improvement to give the Bucks a test on Friday night?
Well, you certainly think so. I mean, this is a team, you know, going into every game, it seemed like that, you know, they were the underdog. They were the one you weren't picking to win. You know, it's been that way all season. You know, Tuscaloosa County, who Spain Park beat in the first round last week, you know, they were coming to that game 8-2. You know, Spain Park was considered the underdog in that game. But, you know, Spain Park, I think the most impressive thing has been this offense. You have quarterback Nick Mullins, who's just on fire leading this offense. Against Tuscaloosa County, he had 4 touchdowns, 298 yards passing, and then you got the wide receivers on the outside stepping up, and Reed Renegal and Zach Michaels. Those two have combined for 14 catches for 260 yards, and all 4 his touchdowns. So, you know, this offense has made vast improvements. And you talk about the defense. Early on, they were hurting, you know, with injuries. You know, senior linebacker Alex Payne, you know, he missed a bunch of games. He came back out. They got an instant lift from that. You know, this team, I mean, it's hard now, you know, to keep counting them out. I know they play Hoover this week, but you know, I think it could definitely be a much different outcome. You know, I'm not saying Spain Park's going to win. You know, there's a reason Hoover's the top ranked team in the state, one of the top teams nationally. But I definitely think that, you know, they'll, you know, put up more of a fight and definitely be a closer game in this contest coming up this Friday night.
As Coach Ben Bergeson said after the win Friday night, it's amazing what this team has accomplished. I mean, you look back at this team in the first couple of weeks of the season, they were in disarray. I mean, the offense was struggling. The defense was giving up too many points. But now they're a complete team. As you mentioned, the offense has gotten more experience week in, week out. Nick Mullins is turning into a solid quarterback. They've got great receivers. They're getting just enough out of the running game to put them over the top on offense. And defensively, they've got the pieces. They just, as you mentioned with Alex Payne being out and a couple of other injuries during the season, when all those guys are there on defense, this is a pretty solid bunch. But I agree with you, Davis. Hoover, they're undefeated for a reason. I really don't know if there's a team out there that can give them a really good test. It'll be interesting to see if Spain Park can make this game close in the fourth quarter and have a chance to pull it out in the end. But it's going to be a tall task for the Jaguars this week. Last week, we saw Briarwood Christian open up the playoffs with a shutout of Mortimer Jordan. The Lions take on a Walker team that's only lost one game this season, Davis. Do the Lions keep rolling Friday night?
You know, they have a chance to. You know, the offense is certainly impressive. The defense is impressive. What's more telling about the defense is that you know, they went into their playoff game last week against Mortimer Jordan missing 3 defensive starters who all suffered season-ending injuries throughout the regular season. That's I talked to Coach Yancey there afterward. He told me, you know, that was a big concern for them. But you know, the way the game turned out, he really didn't have anything to worry about. I mean, you know, pitching a 38-0 shutout, holding Mortimer Jordan to 145 total yards of offense. You know, the defense had 8 sacks. Just a dominating performance by them. And you know, I know Mortimer Jordan, you know, granted, that's not the toughest competition they're going to face in the playoffs. Mortimer Jordan snuck into the playoffs, you know, finishing, you know, in the getting that last spot in their region with a 500 record. But still, considering, you know, the attrition they had on defense, the players that weren't out there playing, you know, that was still a great effort by them. You know, and this is an offense that keeps you rolling. Ben Kraft continues to do his thing, you know, 2 or 3 more touchdown passes. You got Sam Whitaker, who, you know, gave him 129 yards on the ground, a couple touchdowns. And, you know, this just, you know, it seems like a well-rounded team right now. You know, and I know we've said that from the beginning of the season. But, you know, they'll get a test from this Walker team. And it's interesting. This is a Walker team, you know, who beat Sylacauga earlier in the season by 11 points. And Briarwood only beat that same Sylacauga team by 3 earlier. So, you know, Walker will definitely be a challenge for them. But, you know, I think, you know, Briarwood, I think they'll come out on top, but you know, it'll be a good contest, you know, and another hard-fought playoff game.
Well, Coach Yancey certainly had to be pleased with what he saw with the defense, as you mentioned on Friday night. they've really been hit hard with injuries this
Yeah.
season, and they come out and keep their first-round opponent from scoring in that game. That was an impressive feat by the defense. Offensively, it looks like Sam Whitaker's kind of carrying the torch. Looking back at their first week offensive numbers, Whitaker rushing for more than 100 yards. He's going to be key Friday night against Walker, and they've got to have that element with Ben Kraft as a solid quarterback. You've got to have that running game as well to complement him.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see if the Briarwood offense can step up and match the defensive intensity from week 1 of the playoffs. Should be a great game. Coosa Valley Academy remains alive in the AISA Class 1A playoffs after picking up a win over Chambers Academy last week. This week they've got a rematch with Autauga Academy. The Rebels beat Autauga 14-7 in the season opener. Do you think they can get another win over Autauga Friday night?
Yeah, I think they can. This is a big bounce back game for Coach DiLorenzo and Coosa Valley. After having that tough game with Crenshaw where they were shut out, lost 7-0 in a game that really could have gone either way. That they advance and, like you talked about, beat Chambers Academy 38-12. And, it was a close game there at half, 12-9 lead for the Rebels. But they go on to score 27 points in the second half and rack up 430 yards of offense. That's got to be a big relief for Coach Lorenzo to see that out of his offense after they really, couldn't muster anything against Crenshaw Academy. One of the best teams in the AISA Class 1 division. So, I think, that, like you said, they got Autauga Academy coming out next week. They get by that game, which I think they will. They can, possibly get a rematch with Crenshaw and maybe seek some revenge in that game later in the playoffs. But right now they have to take care of business. And, he has, Coach DiLorenzo, like we said, has to be pleased with the bounce back from his offense and his defense limiting that Chambers team to 12 points. So, they get by Autauga, could, set up for bigger things for them down the road.
As you mentioned, Davis, it certainly was an impressive win Friday night. And Coosa Valley's been another team that's been hit hard with injuries this year. It's been impressive to see how they fought through the adversity week after week. They're stepping up, and they've only got 2 losses, one to a team they might meet again, as you mentioned, next week in the state championship game. It's going to be a big test on Friday night. They only beat Autauga by a touchdown during the regular season, but I think they've got enough pieces in place to get past this game this week and to face Crenshaw Christian in a rematch in the AISA Class 1A championship game. Check back next week to see who is still alive in the playoffs. I'm Wesley Hallman.
And I'm Davis Potter.
And this has been Game Night at the Shelby County Reporter.